except in Uttar Pradesh and parts of some states, practically every child is in school. Not that every child will complete school education, but most children will study at least up to the 8th class, and a significant number will go up to the 10th class. Dropout ratio rises rapidly at that level, but that's a separate issue which has to be addressed separately. So in a sense, unlike 50 years ago, every child today is a student. For 5 years, or for 8 years, or for 10 years, every child is a student. And after completing whatever education the child can get, the child has to become a farmer or a worker or a self-employed person. Most people will look for jobs. It's all nice to say, why don't you become a job giver instead of job seeker? But if everybody becomes job givers, who will become employed under that job giver? For every job giver, there has to be 10, 20 job seekers. Even somebody opens a barber saloon or a laundry, he can be self-employed, he can give jobs, he can give jobs to 2 or 3 people, 10 people, 15 people, but eventually those 2 or 3 or 10 or 15 will be job seekers who need jobs. Most people in most countries hold jobs. A very small number employ people, they are employers. A very large number are employees. India can be no different. India cannot be any different. It's only foolish people who will say everybody will become a job giver. Therefore, all these issues are interrelated. We have students, we have farmers, we have business people, we have professionals, and everybody, in every family, there will be 1 or 2 people who are looking for jobs. In my view, the most important challenge any country faces jobs. Every country faces this problem at some time or another, which is why most developed countries publish on a monthly basis, they publish the number of unemployed people in the country. In a larger sense, India has had a very mixed record of tackling unemployment. And there are many reasons. The first reason is a very large number do not work. They are not in the job market. And among them women, the bulk of the women are not in the job market. They are content, either by circumstance or by choice, to remain at home, to do their housework, to bring up families, to look after elders, and to raise children. They are not in the job market. Which is one of the reasons why we remain underdeveloped. If only as many women as a proportion join the job market as many men do, it has been estimated that India's GDP today would rise by another $900 billion. That is 90,000 crore dollars will be the additional GDP that we will get if as many women are in the job market as many men are. So one reason is women don't join the job market. The second reason is there is massive disguised unemployment. A man has 2 or 3 boys. One boy grows up, then he says, come to the farm, work with me on the farm. The farmer was doing the work all alone, now has a son to help him on the farm. The second boy grows up, the farmer says, you also come and work on the farm. So where 1 person was working and 2 persons were working, now 3 persons are working. The third child grows up, they say, you also come and work on the farm. Now that doesn't mean 4 jobs are being created. It's still the job of 1 person, maybe the job of 2 persons, which instead of 1 or 2 persons doing that job, 3 persons are doing it, 4 persons are doing it. There is disguised unemployment. You think your children are unemployed, they are really not employed. There is disguised unemployment. The third is open unemployment. You go to any town, any mohalla, any village, you will find dozens of young men loitering around. You go to any city, any town, in the evening, you will find people loitering around, gathering in groups of 5 or 10 and chatting. The girls don't come out as much as the boys do, but you will find even girls, educated girls, who may be looking for jobs, get together as a group, go to the well or go to the chowk or go to the temple or go to the place of worship. 5 or 6 girls or 5 or 6 young women, you will find them, they are unemployed and they don't know what to do. There's massive unemployment of that level. So in many ways, this country has had a mixed record of providing jobs. The ironic part is not that there are no jobs to be created. Hundreds of productive jobs can be created immediately, but the government of the day is so incompetent that it does not know how to create jobs. Let me give you some numbers of the jobs that have been created which remain unfilled. It's a cruel irony in a country like India, where you have massive numbers of men and women who are looking for jobs, and on the other hand, you have massive number of jobs which are unfilled. Let me give you numbers at the higher levels. Out of High Court and Supreme Court judges, a total of 1,110. 410 posts are vacant. These are the highest level where you can find the highest quality jobs. Come down a few rungs, in central universities, against a sanctioned number of 17,106 teaching posts, teachers, 5,997 are vacant. On the one hand, you have qualified teachers. On the one hand, you have 5,996 teaching posts vacant. I have numbers for the Delhi government. They are appalling. Teachers in schools, nurses, doctors, safai karmacharis, peons, clerks, assistants, every department has hundreds and hundreds of jobs vacant. The PWD has thousands of jobs which are vacant. There are 1 lakh schools in India which are one teacher schools. You know what a one teacher school means? There are 5 classes. There are children between 5 and 10, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4 and class 5. But there is one teacher. Does she teach? Obviously not. She cannot teach. How can one teacher teach 5 classes at the same time? The children come to school, while they are their time, the teacher only makes sure that they don't get into trouble or fight with each other. And after the midday meal, if one is provided, they go home. If in 1 lakh schools, instead of one teacher, you appoint 4 more teachers, so that 5 classes are manned by 5 teachers, you get 4 lakh jobs. If enough doctors are appointed, nurses are appointed, technicians are appointed, if enough Safai Karamcharis are appointed, if enough policemen are appointed, if the vacancies in the CRPF, BSF, ITBP are filled, that alone will create in this country millions of jobs. Every government does this hoodwinking. They sanction posts, but they won't fill the posts. The reason is obvious. You apply your mind for 1 minute, you will know the reason. If you sanction 100 posts, the budget for that department will be salaries for 100 posts. So the budget will be, let's assume, 5 crore of rupees for 100 posts. But you fill only 70 posts and 30 posts you don't fill. You have that extra money. You don't have to give salaries. You spend it on other things. At the end of the year, you find some justification to say, well, this was necessary, that was necessary, I've spent the money. So on the one hand, we have disguised unemployment. We have people who don't enter the job market. We have massive open unemployment. And we have massive numbers of jobs which are vacant. Every one of this can be tackled without great effort, simply by applying a little intelligence, a little more common sense, a little dedication. These tasks can be accomplished. But then there's a larger question. How do we create jobs? Since that's the most important concern of India today, and I am absolutely convinced that will be the number 1 issue in the next election in 2019. Demonetization will be an issue. GST or Gabbar Singh tax, as Congress President says, will be an issue. Petrol and fuel prices will be an issue. Savage taxation will be an issue. Farmers' loan burden will be an issue. Farmers' suicides will be an issue. Security of women and children will be an issue. Rapes, violence will be an issue. Bank fraud, scams, letting fraudsters run away from the country will be an issue. India's security will be an issue. The situation in Jammu and Kashmir will be an issue. But the number 1 issue will be jobs. Please remember who voted for Narendra Modi in the last election. All those people who became first-time voters. People who had crossed the age of 18. They were 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22. In the even previous election, they would not have had a vote. In 5 years, the then 17-year-old became 22, 16 became 21, 15 became 20, 14 became 19, 13 became 18, and they voted. Even in a state like Tamil Nadu, where the BJP can never win even a single seat, everybody knew that the BJP supported candidate, if there was one, will lose. these 18 to 22 voted for the BJP. They got massive number of votes in Kerala. They didn't win a single seat. Massive number of votes in Kerala. Even in the assembly election of last year in Kerala, they got massive votes. There's a by-election going to come now. In that by-election last time, where the regular election took place, the CPM winning candidate got about 46,000 votes. The Congress candidate got about 42,000 votes. But surprise, surprise, the BJP candidate got 40,000 votes. Nobody expected him to win, but they got massive votes. Why? Because largely of Mr. Narendra Modi's promise, I will create, sometimes he said 1 crore, sometimes he said 2 crore, maybe he does not know the distinction between 1 crore and 2 crore. He said, I'll create these jobs. People genuinely believe that these jobs will be created. Today, the angst, the anger of young people is jobs are not being created. On the contrary, jobs have been destroyed in this country. How are jobs created? Jobs are created when people have to produce goods and services. A simple equation, very simple economics. If I can understand it as I was growing up, you can understand it as well. It doesn't require a PhD degree to understand. How are jobs created? What is a job? Work. What does a worker do? He either produces goods, he produces a mobile phone, or he produces a microphone, or he produces a file. He makes something, goods. The other thing is services. A job is created when somebody is to provide a service. Your guy who delivers your pizza, a delivery boy, service. A postman is a service. Somebody come and fixes your television is a service. You go to a mobile repair shop, somebody repairs your mobile, that is a service. The guy who cuts your hair is a service. The guy who polishes your shoes is a service. The guy who does your laundry is a service. So jobs are created when there is a demand for goods and a demand for services. Is that clear? Jobs are created when there is a demand for goods and a demand for services. If demand is stagnant, today's goods and today's services are adequate, supply and demand are equal, no new job will be created. It's only when demand rises, supply has to match demand. Therefore, more people are employed to produce more goods and to produce more services. So the first rule is jobs are created only when there is demand for more goods and more services. When there is demand for more goods and more services, people will produce more goods and more services. Now, how do you produce more goods and services? You produce more goods and services mainly by investing more. If you have a factory which produces 1 lakh cycles a year, and if you want to produce 2 lakh cycles a year because there is a demand, you will have to invest in another shed, you will have to put more machinery, and then only you can produce the additional 1 lakh cycles. So investment is absolutely necessary to create more jobs, to produce more goods and services. Now when will investment take place? Investment will take place when there is a climate that is friendly to investment. The investor can make profit. Nobody does charity. Nobody comes to do business to do charity. Somebody comes to do business, he comes to make a profit. Some make good profits, some make low profits. But profit is a motive that drives enterprise. What you call capitalism, but that's enterprise. But as I said, all this depends upon people buying more goods and services. People demanding more goods and services. As people demand and consume more goods and services, their level of living, the standard of living increases. If in a village, say, of 100 families, nobody wore slippers or shoes or chappals. Now that's a certain level of living, a certain standard of living. You're walking barefoot. But 10 years later, if in that village, 80 families out of 100 are wearing chappals or slippers, clearly the standard of living has increased. People have more money, they're buying a chappal, buying a pair of slippers, buying a pair of chappals. Likewise, if somebody had only one change of sari or one change of salwar kameez, there's a certain standard of living. But if a family has, the girl has or the woman has 3, 4 saris, in a poor family, 3 or 4 salwar kameezes, clearly the standard of living is increased, where people are demanding more goods and services. All this will happen only when there is a climate where investment can take place, production can take place, people have incomes, and people demand more goods and services so that more jobs will be created. The tragedy of India over the last 4 years is investment has declined. The gross fixed capital formation has fallen by as much as 4 or 5 percentage points. We have had one of the lowest investment ratios in the country in the last, since liberalization. We have had one of the lowest investment rates in the country. Nobody's investing. Nobody's investing for a variety of reasons. I won't go into all that. Nobody's investing. They say there is no demand. Even electricity power companies are working at 60% capacity. 40% capacity is idle. Why? There is no demand for electricity. The government announces yesterday every village in India has been electrified. That is a jumla again. What are they saying? You should look into it. There are some 5,97,000 villages in this country. 1,000 days ago, Narendra Modi announced there are 18,000 villages which have not been electrified. I will electrify the balance 18,000 villages in the next 1,000 days. Let's assume he did it. But who electrified the remaining 5,80,000 villages? Those 5,80,000 villages were not electrified in the last 1,000 days. The 5,80,000 villages were electrified by previous governments. He comes and electrifies the last 18,000 villages and says this is a great achievement of my government. I have electrified all the villages. It's like somebody makes the ice cream, puts it in a cup, somebody comes and puts one cherry on top and says, I made the ice cream because I put the cherry on top. This is a complete jumla. The last 18,000 villages are electrified in the last 1,000 days. It has taken them 3 years to electrify the last 18,000 villages. Look at the work that is done by previous governments, including 10 years of UPA, which electrified lakhs of villages in those 10 years. Anyway, this is one of their jumlas. They will continue their jumlas. You must be able to ask questions. You must be able to ask hard questions. Thank you, Mr. Modi, for electrifying the last 18,000 villages. Will you please tell us who electrified the previous 5,80,000 villages? You must ask that question on your Twitter, on your Facebook, whatever. What has happened in this country is investment has fallen. The investment ratio has fallen. There is simply no investment. Show me any newspaper which says, today Bhumi Puja will take place for 3,000 crore factory. Today the Chief Minister inaugurated a 5,000 crore plant. I have not seen one in the last 3 years. I have not seen a full page advertisement which talks about a Bhumi Puja for a 3,000 crore factory or a opening ceremony for a 5,000 crore factory. I have not seen one at all. There is simply no investment. As a result, there are no new jobs being created. As a result, there is massive unemployment. It's a startling fact, but in most employment exchanges, in a whole year, they place one person or two persons. They find jobs for one or two persons in the entire list maintained in an employment exchange. That's nobody. Therefore, today, most people don't even bother to register an employment exchange because they know only one or two people will get a job call, and by that time their turn comes, they'll be dead and gone. They will not get a job call at all for the next 50 years. So why register on an employment exchange and pretend that you've employed, you've got a chance of getting a job. You would no chance of getting a job. The only way jobs can be created is by reviving the investment sector. We'll have to create a climate where people invest more. If people invest more, then they will employ more people. More people will have income. Income will create demand. Demand will be stimulated. There are very many ways in demand can be stimulated. This government has completely killed demand. What little remained was killed in demonetization. What little enterprise was there among our industries, you have killed it by the GST. Demonetization and GST has killed practically all micro industries, the bulk of small industries, and at least 40% of medium industries have been killed by demonetization and GST. Thousands and thousands of jobs have been destroyed. Let me give you one example. In Tirupur, you must have heard of Tirupur, a famous garment center, India's biggest garment exporting center. There's a place called the Old Bus Stand. Now you know why a place is called an old bus stand. A new bus stand is being created, therefore that is called an old bus stand. You know buses go there. In that old bus stand, there were 5,000 small businesses. 5,000 small businesses which were doing job work for the garment factories. Stitching buttons, stitching tassels, doing those last little things on a garment. 5,000 businesses were there, each employing 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, mostly women. So they are very good in that kind of a job, mostly women. Today in Tirupur bus stand, old bus stand, you can count 500 such businesses. 4,500 businesses have shut down since demonetization and GST. That's the same story everywhere. This morning you saw the newspaper say, when all these telecom companies join together, 2 lakh jobs will be lost. 50,000 jobs are already lost by companies merging together. Now your job losses last year, in 2017, you had job reductions in Wipro, Infosys, Cognizant. 3 major IT companies in this country shed jobs. In Cognizant, they actually gave out a pink slip to say, if your annual salary is more than 25 lakhs, please put in your resignation paper. I mean, that's the kind of slip that came to everybody. The point is, instead of jobs being created, jobs are being destroyed. Jobs will be destroyed as we go forward because the economy is not going to pick up. I can't see the economy picking up. It will go on at this flat rate. This again is a jumla. The number they are giving out, 7.3, 7.5 is again a jumla. Everybody knows, every economist knows that it's equal to the earlier 5%. You have to deduct 2% from the number they are giving because it's a new methodology. They are doing a new methodology and counting the growth rate at 7 and 7.5%. Jobs are not being created. This is going to be the biggest challenge India faces. This is going to be the biggest issue in 2019. I think one of the 3 booklets put out by the AICC at the AICC session talks about jobs and unemployment. I think it's available both in English and Hindi. I've got a copy in English. I saw something on the table there. I think you go into that gives you numbers. You must be prepared to take on this government on the issue of massive unemployment, because this is the single biggest issue on which young people voted for Modi. And let me tell you, this will be the single biggest issue on which the people will vote against Modi. I have gone to many towns. I was in Tuticorin, a port town in South Tamil Nadu, about 5-6 months ago. It's a huge public meeting. There must have been about 25,000 people, or maybe 15,000 people, I didn't count. But it's a very large public meeting for a medium-sized town. I asked them one simple question. Tell me anyone in this audience who knows a young man or woman of his family, or his relative's family, or his neighbor's family, or his friend's family, who's got a job in the last 12 months. I asked this question. I asked this question in Mumbai when I addressed the Youth Congress meeting there, the huge meeting organized by the City Youth Congress. Ganesh Yadav. I don't know if he's here. He's here. I asked them. Believe me, in Tuticorin, not one hand rose. Not one hand was raised. Which means nobody in your family, nobody in your relative's family, nobody in your friend's family, nobody in your neighbor's family has got a job. You ask this question today. Ask yourself today. How many of you know, and I'm talking about a genuine job, a regular job, not frying pakoras. A regular job is defined by ILO as a regular place of work, regular hours of work, and regular salary at the end of 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Some are fortnightly salary, some are monthly salaries. That is a regular job. Frying pakora is not a job. Therefore you ask yourself, how many of you know any member of your family, any member of your relative's family, any member of your neighbor's family or your friend's family who's got a job in the last 12 months? Raise your hand. I mean, if you know somebody, please raise your hand. I mean, this question I've asked in dozens of meetings. Hardly one hand goes up or two hands go up, some meetings. But most people say, we don't know if anyone has got a job. That's a sad plight of this country. This is the biggest problem. This can only be licked by a government which can stimulate investment, restart the growth engine, create the momentum again for people to invest, and only when people invest, you will get jobs. Thank you. I'll take a questions for a few minutes. Exports means people in some other country must demand your goods and services. Until last year, many countries had very sluggish growth. Even today, many countries in Europe have very sluggish growth. Many countries in West Asia have very sluggish growth. The US economy has picked up, but most European economies are still sluggish. Therefore, unless there is demand for your goods and services, you can't export. So the first reason is poor demand in other countries. The second reason is many countries have become protectionist. In order to protect their own industry, they are putting all kinds of barriers, tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, all kinds of obstacles in the way of foreign goods coming to the country. The third reason is our industry, some industries have become uncompetitive because of rising costs here, rising transportation costs, rising infrastructure costs, depreciation of the rupee. For a variety of reasons, our prices have become uncompetitive. So you can't compete with Bangladesh. Today, our garment cannot compete with Bangladesh in export of garments. For a variety of reasons, exports were down for nearly 2 years. The then Commerce Minister, Ms. Sitaraman, was completely clueless. I don't think she even understood how exports declined so dramatically. But in the last 9-10 months, there is some revival of exports. But we have still not crossed the $300 billion high that we reached in 2013-14. In 2014-15, 15-16, 16-17, they were below $300 billion. I'm told 2017-18, they may report that we have just crossed $300 billion merchandise export. It's possible. So these are a number of reasons why our exports are not taking off. But there are measures you can take to address the problems of exporters, which of course this government is completely clueless on the subject. Second question.
So the second one is, Mr. Modi most of the time on fuel prices says that there is a GST council, petroleum and GST, and if our stand is yes, that we want to bring petroleum under GST, why don't we make it public?
We have said, I have said it, I think Congress President may have said it in 1 or 2 meetings, others have said it. Our public position is petroleum and petroleum products must be brought under GST. That's our public position. See, we have only finance ministers of 2 major states in the council, Punjab and Karnataka. The BJP boasts that it has got 22 governments. So they've got the central government, they've got 22 state governments, they have an absolute, they have a 2/3 majority, 3/4 majority in the GST Council. Why don't they pass a resolution bringing GST? Bringing petroleum under GST? They won't, and I'll tell you why. When we left office in 2013-14, the tax per litre of diesel, central government tax per litre of diesel, was 4 rupees 52 paisa. In 2017-18, it was 15 rupees 92 paisa. Tax per litre of petrol when we left was 10 rupee 38 paisa. In 2017-18, it was 20 rupees 6 paisa. It is doubled and trebled under Mr. Modi. In 2016-17, central government alone collected 3,34,000 crore rupees out of taxes on petrol and diesel. Therefore, this is a milk cow for them. You can do nothing. If you've got a two-wheeler, if you've got a car, if you're a taxi owner, auto owner, tractor owner or a bus owner, you can do nothing except fill the tank in the morning and curse. That's all you can do. You cannot not fill the tank and curse it. You have to fill the tank and then curse it. Everybody who fills the tank, I also go to the gas station to fill. The guy below curses, the guy behind you curses also. But he can't do anything except fill the tank and curse. So this is a milk cow, it's a cash cow which brings in money every day to the oil companies. There is no deferred payment. There is no payment tomorrow. You have to pay today. When you want to fill your tank, you have to pay today. So this money keeps coming in. They rake it, they sell it, they spend the money. I tweeted yesterday, in the last 4 years, because of savage taxation, which has no relation to crude oil prices, the additional taxation amount that the central government has made is 6 lakh crore. 6 lakh crore is the additional bonanza they've got. Yes. Well, firstly, we will not do the things he is doing. No Congress government, no Congress Prime Minister or Finance Minister can ever even dream of something utterly foolish like demonetization. Where are jobs created? There are two kinds of jobs, broadly. Farm jobs, non-farm jobs. I'll explain to you farm jobs. Farm jobs, according to me, are not real jobs. It's disguised unemployment. Where one person is working, two person is working, three more people come. That's disguised unemployment. So we keep farm jobs out. Because that sector has to be tackled separately. The farmer's problem, the farming sector's problem have to be tackled separately. Jobs can be created there, but they will be not on-farm jobs, they will be off-farm jobs. Which means you can't create jobs in growing paddy, growing sugarcane, growing maize, growing soya. You can't create new jobs, but you can create jobs by dairy, by poultry, by food processing. You can create jobs. Let's keep that aside. Let's concentrate on non-farm jobs. 90% of all jobs in this country are created by the MSME sector. M creates very few jobs, micro, maybe one job. SM is the sector which creates 90% of jobs. Therefore, our whole focus must be not to help 10 big industrialists put up 10 big plants. We must actually help 10 million small and medium enterprises grow a little more. If every small and medium enterprise employs one more person or two more person, you will create a huge number of jobs in this country. So the focus will be on small and medium sector. The focus will be to allow them to grow. The focus will be to encourage young people to start small and medium businesses. The focus will be to ensure that they don't perish, but they are able to stand on their own legs and grow. That is the focus. Second area where jobs can be created is exports. Now what does exports mean? As I said, somebody in some country wants goods. He doesn't make them because it's uncompetitive to make them, or there are no young people to make them. Japan, for example, has no young people now to make anything. Very soon they won't have anyone to make anything, they'll have to get everything from we can make them and send it to them. But we can make them only if they are competitive, no? Only if the quality is good, the price is good, and the delivery is good. You have to compete on quality, price and delivery. If you can compete on quality, price and delivery, you can deliver these goods to even the Antarctica. But you must compete. For that you must make our export sector efficient. Just talk to the exporter. Every exporter is moaning and crying today. There's nobody listening to the Federation Indian Exporters Organization, FIO. Nobody listening to them. There are export councils, nobody listens to the exports councils. You have to sit down with each export council. Capexil, PIDA, which exports shrimp and fish, marine products, agricultural exports, plastic exports, electronic exports. There are councils. You have to sit down with them, understand yesterday's problem is not today's problem. You may have solved the problem last year, but today you'll have another problem. You have to sit down with them, understand why exports are down. Today I saw some sector exports are down 6%, I saw, can't remember. If exports are not even maintaining last year's level, how will you create jobs? Exports create a lot of jobs. Our second focus will be on exports. The third focus will be on the farm sector, be able to create off-farm jobs, but that's a more complicated exercise. I can explain it, but that's a thing. So focus will be an SME, focus will be in exports, and focus will be in off-farm jobs. I think we may not create as many jobs as Modi claims, but between 2004 and 2014 there was unemployment. But there was not this angst, there was not this anger, this did not spill over into the streets. Why? Because while unemployment was there, a sufficient number of jobs were being created. Not enough, but a reasonable number of jobs were being created. Today unemployment is there, but no jobs are being created. On the contrary, jobs are being destroyed, which is why the anger is spilling over into the streets. How do you think Jignesh Mevani and Alpesh Thakur and Hardik Patel got thousands and thousands of people in the streets? 90% of them did not come out of caste. Caste was a vehicle to mobilize them. That is a vehicle to mobilize them. But what drove them to get into that vehicle is unemployment, joblessness. Yes.
Situation. What should we
Are you
do?
talking about content or are you talking about the media?
I am talking about the real fact. How could we create this thing as an issue in the eye of common
Are you
man?
talking about the message or are you talking about the medium?
Message.
The message is clear. Why people, these numbers are being
Numbers
are being put out.
but medium
These three booklets contain the numbers and they are all correct. I have checked those numbers. These three booklets contain the numbers. Medium is a problem. You are not able to take it through the newspaper and the television media. That I agree. But that is the medium. So the message is there, the content is there. It's for you to understand the content and put it across. Now how will you put it across? Well, newspapers will change. Television to some extent will change. All this media which has been crawling and sucking up to the BJP will change in the last 12 months to some extent. But you have the social media. You can tweet, you can put it on your Twitter account, you can put it in your Facebook account, you can write a blog. All that doesn't require anyone's help. It only requires some discipline and sitting down and working. If you have to sit down and work, you can put it on the social media, people will read it. Why do you think people don't read it? Try to put it in the local language, thousands and thousands of people will read it. The content is available. You have to discipline yourself, work hard and put it out in the social media. Okay, thank you.